Okay, Madam Chairman, it's 7 o'clock.
Good evening. I call to order this regular joint meeting of the Minnehaha County and Dell Rapids Planning Commissions. And I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones have been silenced. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.gov site for viewing by the general public. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural areas surrounding the city. This area is displayed on the screen. When this joint hearing is completed, the joint Dell Rapids and County Planning Commission will adjourn, and the next regular business meeting will begin to consider items beyond the joint zoning jurisdiction with Dell Rapids. Any final action taken on the temporary use permit application tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting, unless an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, May 5th, 2025 at 5 p.m. In the event of appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission and City Council for a joint hearing on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date. Meetings of the County Commission and Dell Rapids City Council are held in this same room. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda. Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes of the June 26, 2023 meeting. And also item number 2 is approval of the minutes of the January 27, 2025 meeting. And I will entertain a motion to approve those items.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second has been for the approval of the minutes of January 27th and June 26, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
Okay. I make a motion that the minutes be approved for June 26th, 2023, and the minutes of January 27th, 2025.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 3 is temporary use permit 25-03 to allow a temporary asphalt plant on the property legally described as the Northeast Quarter, including Tract 1. There is an exception, parts N and W of the river, end of exception, Section 17, Township 104 North, Range 49 West. That is in Dell Rapids Township. Petitioner is Central Specialist Incorporated. Owner is LG Everest Incorporated, location 201 South Quarry Road. Kevin?
Good evening. I'm Kevin Hookman from the County Planning Department. Yes, this is a temporary use permit to allow a temporary asphalt plant on the site described, and it's now mapped on the screen. The petitioner would like to have this for the season, but does plan on only being open between 3 and 6 weeks long, depending on how the project goes. The petitioner did submit detailed narrative and explanation for the proposed asphalt site plan. They did have to notify 11 property owners within 600 feet, even though the nearest property owners over 2,000 feet away from the nearest residence from the asphalt plant. The general time frame of working at that 3 to 6 weeks long is between July and August, with working hours between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., with trucks starting at 6 a.m. because it needs some time to warm up the asphalt plant. When staff sent out notices for the temporary use, an objection letter was received by a nearby neighbor. The primary concern about the objection letter was regarding health symptoms related to the potential smells and the air particulate matter. Speaking with her several times, she generally was okay with the project moving forward and had some just concerns about where the wind would be blowing, as long as in a short direction, and if the wind's not blowing from the east was their primary concern. Staff did review 9 standards to be used for suitability and compatibility of a temporary use, and those are available for you. Staff is recommending, I'll just kind of jump to the conclusion here. Staff is recommending approval of the temporary use permit with 8 conditions. Earlier today, I did receive another phone call regarding the hearing tonight. In that particular concern was more about the existing quarry than it was about this operation. The concern was that since the quarry started this location, there was lots of bright lights that have been going up and visible from all around. And this neighbor was wanted to make sure that this was not going to add to any lighting on the property. If that is something to include in the conditions, that is something that we can add a condition for lighting, that any new lighting would be removed. I forgot I was going to set up the site plan here. You'll see here where the plant is supposed to go compared to the rest of the property. It is located within the quarry area, and much of the area is surrounded by the river here with trees to break up kind of wind and any sort of potential things drifting through the trees to help kind of diffuse that. A couple other photos of the site. And I did put together the new condition that if that is something to be considered. Again, staff is recommending approval, and I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for him?
I guess, is there, the question for you, I guess, I read the letters and stuff, and it's more of that smell and stuff. Did you talk to her about, one of the items in their letter was the dust, noise, and odor control, and they can add a low odor asphalt additive. Was that discussed that would be something that she would be okay with? I know when they had the asphalt plant at the West Quarry, which was within the city limits, when they did that, the year before they didn't, and the park really, really smelled. And then the year they did it, it pretty much went away. We didn't smell it at all during the day and stuff. So I didn't know if that was discussed.
It was discussed a little bit that the operation does have the low odor additive written into the narrative of the plan. I guess it wasn't included in the conditions of approval. If that is something that we wanted to add to a condition, that the low odor additive be mandated as part of the project.
Yeah, I think I would like to add that.
Yeah, I agree. It made a big difference the last time we had an asphalt plant.
I have a question for you, I guess. Are you saying that we should probably add that additional condition about the lighting?
Yeah, this is something that was brought up kind of last minute, so that's why I added this, is if this is a condition you wanted to consider, that there's no new full-time lighting, that could be added pretty easily since the asphalt plant will be torn down after they leave.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Go ahead, Cindy.
I was actually going to comment on that too. I don't know that I think it's necessary if it's from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. in July and August, the sun is up. They're not going to be using lights anyway.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for him?
I have a
It's any-
question. I'm assuming county's going to vote first. Would you like us to make an amendment on that additive, or are you going to make an amendment on that additive?
Can we hear from the petitioner first?
Yeah, let's get the petitioner up here, and then maybe between the petitioner and commissioners, they can address that. Is a commissioner or some, okay. Please step forward, state your name and address, sir.
Good evening. I'm Shane Carlberg, 3200 Crimson Drive, Garfield, Minnesota.
Okay, are you, there are a couple requests to add a couple conditions, the lighting and then that additive.
The lighting is fine. Like you said, most of everything's going on during the day. So none of our lighting is spotlights. All of our lighting on the asphalt plant is basically light bulbs. So it's not going to go as far as your giant spotlights that light up the gravel pit. Everything that we would use for lighting is already there. So we won't be adding any lighting. The additive, low odor additive. I have actually never heard of this. I just text our asphalt plant guy, and I am the secondary person for this, so I didn't make the narrative. He's on vacation, so I got thrown into this last minute. If it's in the narrative, that must have been what the state or the county had called for in their engineering plans, and that's what'll be in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's in the narrative as may include using the low odor additive, and I guess that's what we're proposing is that it is definitely included.
So as a company, we have to go with what the engineers are designing for the asphalt and not put our own additives in there. So it's not something we can decide. That would change the mix design, the integrity of the road, the lifespan. So there's a lot of studying that goes into those engineered designs of mix designs. So as a company, I don't think we can do that on our own. That would have to be mandated by the county engineer or state engineer, depending on whose road it is.
So from my understanding, when we did that, like I said, when there was a temporary plant at the West Quarry, which would be Jasper Highway, or East Quarry, Jasper Highway, it's not an additive that affects the mixture and affects the overall integrity of the asphalt. It's just something that, it just basically affects and lowers I don't know how it affects it, but there wasn't a smell. I mean, it wasn't that there was a nice smell, that there was not an asphalt smell,
Not at all.
an oil smell at all.
Okay. Sounds good.
So,
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Go
can I
ahead.
interject here?
Go ahead,
And maybe I understand where you're coming from too, and the engineer record really is kind of the final say, and also understanding your concern with the odor. Maybe the stipulation just needs to be that low odor asphalt additive will be added as allowed by the engineer record, and leave it at that. So that way we're not obligating you to anything that puts your company at risk, but at the same point also addresses your concern of odor within the town.
Right. Sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I see that as a potential out for them to not use it. Then if the engineer would happen to say, well, we're not going to use it. And I think the intent would be is that if we're saying that it's a part of the conditional use, is that we are requiring that it is used, not that it may or may not be used.
So, not to interrupt, to the engineer deal, that would be your guys' engineer. You could talk to them, but I just got a message back from my asphalt foreman. He said it would add about $2 a ton and add about $60,000 in cost for us in the job. So it would have to definitely come from the engineer as approved.
Okay, any other questions for him? Okay, thank you. Anyone from the audience care to address this item? Okay, commissioners?
So yes, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Go ahead,
Since
Mike.
I kind of
Go
already started the
ahead.
conversation here. I guess, but I know by no means am I a lawyer, but I think that we're opening ourselves up to some liability that, if the engineer were to say no, low odor additive, and we mandate it, all of a sudden if that road fails, there's fingers to be pointed, there's a bill to be paid. That's why I really think that I have no problem, requiring that they include a low odor asphalt, but I do think that the engineer needs to sign off on that. So that as a board, we're not obligating ourselves to any liability 5 or 10 years from now. So I guess that's just my 2 cents.
Right. And we do get a lot of complaints on odor and smell, so if it was easy, I think we'd do it all the time. Make my life easier.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I think that it would still be the liability would still lie on the engineer, to approve. If the low added or if the low odor additive is a requirement of the permit and it needs to be used, then the engineer is going to have to certify that, okay, with that use, I'm still good with the asphalt. I don't think it would, in my opinion, again, I'm not a lawyer either, but in my opinion, that would still lie on the engineer that would be their liability.
And I guess, Madam Chair, I would add,
Good.
In theory, I guess we could go that route, and if it was that much trouble for them, they could apply for an amendment to the CUP, and we could have a discussion maybe with the engineer, him or herself, here to attest to why that's an unreasonable regulation. We could remove that condition. So I think we could kind of go either way on it, but I'd be supportive. I think our friends from Dell Rapids want that that condition, but I think Cindy had something here too.
I guess I'm going the other direction because in their narrative specifically, it says it may include use low odor asphalt additives, and I think that they will use them if they can, especially if they can in the past. And I think we're adding more work to if we have to come back to amend it because it doesn't work, then we've kicked them back 2 months to do this, and I don't think that's right either. We live in South Dakota. I think people do what's best for their constituents, and I think that they've already got it in their narrative that they intend to try to use it. I don't think we have to put another mandate on top of them, because we may end up being back here again in a month or two.
I guess that's not the way I read it. I read it as it may include additives. It's not saying that we will use it if possible. It's saying that it might include it. So in my opinion, if we want them to use it, we're going to have to put it in. Because I can about guarantee you, if we don't put it in as a condition, it's not going to be used because it's a cost adder.
I think being that it's a cost adder and being that it's so significant that it should be put into the regulations and not a condition of one plant, personally.
Any other comments? Okay, Commissioners, it's your court.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Joe.
Ryan, actually.
Oh, Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I've been called worse.
Sorry.
I guess I'd tend to agree with Cindy on this. I'm ready to move the project forward, and we all drive on these roads, so I guess I'd make a motion to approve this tonight.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion second to approve the temporary use permit 25-03. And that is with the one condition about the lighting?
Yeah, I would add that.
Okay.
So the 8+1.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Just for clarification, that includes the 8 conditions that staff recommended?
Correct.
Plus the
which
lighting
would be number
condition.
9. Yes. Okay, any further discussion?
I will agree with his amendment that he just put on mine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Motion passes on the county side.
Okay. On the Dell Rapids side, do we have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve with those conditions.
So to be clear, we're not requiring them to add an additive. Okay.
So do we, as the Del Rapids Planning Commission, have the right to add that condition?
If you do.
You can, but if you are in non-agreement, it would be required to go to the joint elected officials at their meeting, whatever the date that the chairman read off of. May 20th.
It'd go to the city council. City council on,
Yes, it would go before the joint meeting of the city council and the county commission with basically a no recommendation because you could not agree.
So I will not second your motion. Yeah, that's.
do you want to make a motion that we not approve it?
I make them, yeah. So for clarification, we make a motion to not approve based on what they're voting, or do we make a motion we add the 2 additional in addition to the 8?
Well, a little bit uncharted area here. You can make a motion any way you want, and then if the county commission decides to reconsider their motions, they can do that. If they decide not to, then it is in non-agreement, and it would go to the May 20th meeting of the elected officials. That'd be a Tuesday morning meeting at 9.
I'll make a motion that we approve it with the lighting condition and the condition that the low odor additive is used.
I will second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So, Madam Chairman, now you are in non-agreement. You have the opportunity to reconsider if you want to. If not, then it will go to the May 20th meeting at 9 a.m.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments? Okay, I would say we,
I'm sure I hate to delay projects like my colleagues here stated before. But I also don't want to say that we're in a carte blanche mandate that they require low odor asphalt, because again, I'm not an engineer and I'm not a lawyer. So I have no problem going back to what I stated at the beginning, that if the engineer record will approve it, that's fine. But I don't want to mandate that and have a failure a year from now and all of a sudden we're sitting here holding the bag.
On that point, he sent me the wording for the low odor additive. It does go into the mix. It doesn't go into the stack. And if that becomes the precedent, then all the bids get bid higher and it'll cost more money for the roads in the future to be built. $2 a ton.
I think we'll just take that testimony and let's have all the right experts here on May 20th.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm fine with that.
okay. So we'll leave our motion as is. Any old business?
No.
Any new business?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.